Your tackle will be number 70, Josh Bates. The other side will be number 72, Chris Laufer. And that defensive end on the other side will be Tim Edwards, number 42. That's the defensive starters for the Elk City Elks.
Alan, the Frederick Bombers are about to come on the field as they are loosening up on the track. And to set this field for you, we have a beautiful field here at the Elk City Elk Stadium. The one thing that as I look here, Alan, there are no lines, or there are lines painted on the field, but there aren't any numbers. That seems to be a problem for us.
They've got the lines marked on the far side of the stadium for the track and the walking area between those lines in the field. Might have a little hard time finding the numbers when the players all get in front of the track.
Frederick spirit of FHS, because they have kept it over in the corner. And all he'll be able to do, Alan, today is just sound the siren.
I think he'll get the drive down the little walking track between
the coin toss. The Frederick Bombers win the coin toss. They would defer their choice until the second half. The Elk City Elks have preferred to kick off. They'll be kicking, I believe, from the north end of the field. And that will be our left, working to our right, the south end, where the Bombers will be defending at that point. We'll take a 30-second timeout as the two teams are getting ready, and we'll come back for the kickoff in 30 seconds. We're coming through at this time. The Frederick Bombers will be deep, and deep for the Frederick Bombers will be number 3, Blake Bolton, and number 1, Ryan Ben. And there the kick goes all the way into the end zone, rolls out the end zone, and the Bombers will have the ball on the 20-yard line. Are you there, Tina? Okay, you in. Again, we apologize for technical difficulties as we're fading in and out. Brian Ben has just taken the ball and gone off over the left side, fading in their territory after running one play from kickoff. Sidney Gaston, they're on the line of scrimmage. Simmons comes in motion back to the left. Hand off to Ben. He has some running room at the 40, at the 35, at the 50, at the 40, at the 30, and out of bounds at the, looks like the 36-yard line.
36-yard line, Mike. You got to do a good job getting outside. Outrunning the Elk City defense.
Across the field and try to pick the yard line up off the wall. The ball will be resting at the 36-yard line. Will be a 1st and 10. The ball in Elk territory. There's attempting the option as they try to hand the ball straight over the left side to Isham, and he will be stopped very close to the line of scrimmage as he struggles forward. And let's give him 1.5 or 2 yards. Bring up a 2nd down and 8 as the ball will be. It is a 2nd down and 8, and as Alan said, it is one of the smaller crowds that I've seen traveling. It'll be a 2nd and 8. Ball resting on the 34-yard line. Gaston hands off to Ben straight over the right side. He will get down close to the 30-yard line.
They got a little size on their line tonight.
And Gaston steps up to the center, looks over the defense. 2 receivers to the left, tight end to the right. Gaston goes down the line, hands off to Ben, and he is met after a short gain. That will be a gain, let's give him 1, possibly 2, and that will bring up a 4th down and about 3 as Bombers decide now whether or not they will go for it. And in this situation, I believe
they're doing a good job of blocking, getting in, and slowing Frederick down.
Two receivers to the left as Gaston on the fourth down hands off straight ahead to Isham, and I believe that he will be short as he was met by the center of the defensive line, and on fourth down and 3, the Elk City Elks have held in this first offensive series. Zach Schrick will be the quarterback for the Elks. Schrick goes straight back, hands off to number 24, and that will be Ernest Crawford. And Crawford will struggle back to the line of scrimmage and will gain about 1 as he is met by several of the Bombers on the...
Did a good job of stopping the Elk City boys for about a yard gain.
Ball resting about the 27-yard line, be 2nd and 9 for the Elk City Elks. Schrick goes back, hands off to Crawford as he tries to go around the left side and then comes back to the inside, and he will be stopped for about a 3.5 yard gain. Met there by a host of Bombers as they had that shut down on the outside.
Mike, once
35-yard line. No, that's a 31-yard line, isn't it, John? And it will be a 3rd down and about, let's call it 7. Schrick takes the ball, hands off to Crawford again, and he's met immediately at the line of scrimmage by, I see Shea Woodall in there, Alan. He has some help.
Number 68, Shea Woodall, and number 51, Clay Johnson, right there in the hole, not
about 6-7 yards short, and they will be punting. In there to punt for the Elk City Elks will be, I believe that's number 5, Greg Adams. Back deep for the Bombers will be Blake Bolton, and there's a flag on the play, and Ryan Ben. Bolton takes it over his shoulder, comes back to the 30, 40, and he will be drugged down around the 42, 43-yard line, but there is a flag on the play. We'll wait the official call on that. If it's offsides against the Bombers, that will not give them a first down, but it will be illegal procedure, I believe, Alan, against the Elk City Elks.
Right, Mike. Good coverage downfield by the Elk City Elks. Blake Bolton took the ball, ran it back up to about the 35-yard line, I believe. Pretty good job.
It'll be a 40-yard punt with a 13-yard return as the decision awaits the Bombers. It looks like they're going to make the Elk City Elks go back and march Blake Bolton as they await this punt. And number 5, Greg Adams, 6'1" or 6 foot 190 senior, will be doing the punting. Adams gets a snap and sends a little deeper punt down. It's taken by Ben at the 28, to the 30, to the 35, to the 40. There's flag on the play as he cuts back to the 45 and drugged down at the 58, or at the 48, excuse me, right short of the 50. There was a lot of nifty running by Ryan Ben as he was weaving in and out of traffic, but there is a flag on the play, and I believe that will probably be a clip from where they threw it.
I would guess it would, Mike. Ryan did a lot of bobbling coming through the Elk City defense that time. He did an excellent job of avoiding tackles, getting back to where he got, but like you said, I'm afraid there was probably a clip on the play, and that looks like maybe what the call will be.
46-yard punt with a 20-yard return, but that won't be negated by the 15 markers on the field. We have to look across the wall and then try to gauge that. But anyway, it will be 1st and 10 for the Bombers from their own 23. Gaston quarterbacking all the way so far. Ryan Ben, Kevin Isham in the backfield. Simmons comes to the motion. There's the option play. There is a fumble, and it looks like the Frederick Bombers have recovered as the ball was stripped from Gaston, but he was able to get back on it.
Right, Mike, Sidney came outside and ended up
a 2nd and 12 as there was a loss of about 2 for the Bombers. The ball now resting just across the 20-yard line as Gaston takes the ball, pitches out to Ryan Ben, and he's going to be drugged down on a good defensive play by the defensive end, and he will lose a couple more, Alan.
Mike, I tell you what, once again, Elk City, excellent in pursuing the ball.
For the technical difficulties, as I speak, sometimes I can hear myself talking, sometimes I can't, so it gets kind of confusing. Gaston has the ball, dropping back to pass, throws deep down the field. It will be incomplete right at the 1st down marker, and that will bring up a 4th down for the Bombers, 4th and 19. deep in their own territory, and they will be...
City Elks have came to play a little football tonight.
As we said, the Elk City Elks are 0-2 at the hands of two very, very good football teams. The Bombers 2-0, and they've beaten two good football teams, but the Elk City Elks are fired up at this time. Damon Williams is back for the Bombers. A lot of pressure on Ben as he kicks, Blake Bolton as he punts. Blake doing the punting chores, and it's taken at right at the 49-yard line in Bomber territory, and he is downed immediately, taken there by Jamon Williams.
Excellent coverage downfield in by the Bombers just as soon as he caught the ball. Number 67, Brand.
First quarter, there is no score as we're back live in Elk City. 4:23 left in the first quarter. There is no score. The Elk City Elks are 1st and 10 from the Frederick Bomber 47-yard line. Strick looking over the defense, takes the snap, goes back and hands off to Crawford. Crawford coming around the right side, and he will be stopped right at the line of scrimmage by a couple of Bombers.
Back Clarence Allen, number 89, Clay Johnson, number 51, came across and shut the Elk City player down for about...
And Clay Johnson, as they were able to fill that hole very quickly. Zach Schrick still at quarterback, Adams the fullback, Crawford the tailback. In motion comes to the right, handoff to the fullback, and he's met by the middle of the line. Looked like there might have been a fumble for an instant, but I believe that the ball was already down.
That Mike, number 71, Chad Stone, came up, put a pretty good tackle on the player's end.
Line in Bomber territory. As the Elk City Elks have played very good defense, Bombers been able to hold him so far. Strick looks over the defense, passing situation, motion by the fullback, handoff to Crawford as he's been chased down the line of scrimmage, and he will be tackled just very short. Looked like could have been a clip, but I don't believe it's called, and he will be very close to the first down marker, Allen.
Elk City showing some excellent speed there. I thought there was about 3 different...
Sudden, Mr. Crawford put on the afterburners and was able to get down to the first down marker. So that will bring up a 1st and 10. Motion comes to the right, ball resting on about the 32, 33-yard line as Schrick takes the ball himself and is tackled from behind by Blake Bolton.
Yes, sir, Mike. Blake did a good job turning around, came up from behind and tackling for looks like...
To make them punt or do something in this situation.
Yeah, Mike, big homecoming crowd here. They've got something to show these people tonight.
Schrick looking over the defense. Fullback comes in motion to the right side, hands off to Crawford. Hold there for the right side. He's stepping out around. Referee saying that he did step out around the 25, about the 25-yard line. And once again, we hesitate because we were looking at this sideline and we had to go all the way across the field through the people lined up on the sideline to try to get a yard marker. Referee says he stepped out of bounds around the 25, but that will be good enough for a first down as the 5-yard line. Schrick quarterback. Crawford having some success going off tackle early. As Crawford gets the ball again, this time he's met at the line of scrimmage, but he will go ahead and slither forward for, looks like a couple of yards.
58, Shea Woodall, 51, Clay Johnson, 89, Clarence Allen. They
are at 2nd and 9, ball resting right at the 25-yard line. Schrick looking over the defense for the Elk City Elks. Long count and hands up the middle to Crawford again on the draw, and he will be met by a couple of Bombers there and be tackled either behind the line or very close to the line of scrimmage.
Right, Mike. Number 51, Clay Johnson, did a good job coming from his linebacker position.
Defensive left, and the Bombers will be looking for that. 3rd and 11. If my memory serves me, Alan, the Elks haven't put the ball up in the air yet.
No, they haven't. I don't think they've thrown a pass all night, Mike.
And they may not have to because there's some movement on the field, and it appears that someone jumped. The Elk City Elks are pointing at the Bombers and saying they're the guilty party, and the referees are talking over in the middle field as they try to decide if possibly one of the Elk City Elks moved and drew the Frederick Bombers off, or it is a defensive penalty. Looks like it will be a 5-yard penalty against the Frederick Bombers, something that couldn't afford in this situation.
Right, Mike. A third and about 11, like you said. Now we're going to be looking at third
yard line. Bombers just guilty of a 5-yard defensive penalty, and that will bring up that 3rd and 6 or along 7. Here we go. Over to Crawford on the right side, and there's a flag on the play again. Look like it could be holding our face mask, and we will try to decipher what they're going to do, as we have had a lot of yellow rags on the field.
I'll tell you what, Mike, I don't believe those refs are sticking them in their pocket quite deep enough. I believe one's going to fall out looks like about every play tonight.
We may see a lot of penalties tonight, as this is the way this game has unfolded to this point. They are talking to the Frederick Bombers. It appears that it will be a holding penalty against the Elk City Elks, as the probably going to be about 3rd and 20 or 21 yards, as they have to negotiate all the way down to around the 11-yard line for this first down. Schrick goes back to pass for the first time across the middle, and it's intercepted by number 89. That's Clarence Allen. He's going to the 30, 40, 45, 50, 40, cuts back at the 30-yard line and will be down approximately the 31, 32-yard line.
Yeah, Mike, I believe the ball was tipped in. Clarence Allen happened to be in the right spot at the right time. Did a good job and a good run back on that ball then.
And he's ready to go.
You bet, Mike. If you just had as much talent as I would, you wouldn't have any problem.
As we pointed out before, we're doing this voluntarily, so we're worth our money, aren't we, Allen?
You bet.
We're back live. It's 1st and 10. The Bombers on the around the 30-yard line, handing off to Isham straight over the left side, and he will go across the 30-yard line, and let's call that that will be the end of the first quarter. And there is nothing score here at Elk City, Oklahoma, as the Bombers and the Elks are scrambling and playing a very tough game at this time. We'll take a minute timeout. You're listening to Fred. We're starting the second quarter as Gaston is approach line, hands off straight up the middle to number 1, Ryan Ben, and he powers forward, and it will be short of the first down. Looks like he gained probably a good 6 or 7, Allen, and will be, they're going to give him, going to bring up a 3rd and about 2. The Elk City Elks have done a very good job up to this point of defending the Bombers, and we'll see if the Bombers can come alive as Isham comes in motion. Gaston hands the ball up to Ryan Ben, and he will be close to the first down marker. As they spot it down, they may need to measure this, and they are calling timeout to bring the chains out.
Number 63, Denny.
So doing it this time is they are pulling out all the stops, as they're trying to win a ball game here, Allen, and they're playing a stunning defense where they're trying to force the Bombers into a situation where the Bombers, if they ever penetrate that line, going to make a big play, and it looks like it is going to be short. Mike, now that we have them solved, and if it sounds like we've been scrambling, it's because we've been scrambling trying to decide whether we've been going out over the air. Hopefully we have that solved. We have a 4th and less than 1, ball resting around the 18-yard line, as the Bombers will go for it on 4th down. We're not able to get it a few minutes ago. Hand off to Isham, and he will have the first down by about 2 yards, as he is able to take the ball on a straight dive and go up to about the 15-yard line.
Tell you what, Mike, another impressive run by Kevin Isham. The young man.
The 15-yard line, and that will bring up a 1st and 10. 10:39 left, and Gaston, as Ben goes in motion, Gaston going back to pass, has some time, now being chased, running for his life to the sideline, and finally forced out of bounds at, looks like it will be about the 25 or 26-yard line there.
It looks like Sidney decided to throw the ball then. I believe his receivers
and count off the 5 yards and come this way to figure out where we are. So we'll bring up a 2nd down and about 17 for the Bombers, as Mitchell comes to the right for a tight end. Gaston looking over the defense, and Ben rollers straight ahead over the right side, and he will gain about, looks like about 10 to 12 yards. Still be shy of the first down, but he got a big piece of that yardage back as the Bombers needed 17, and he's going to put them back into a third are stunning, and what that means is they are trying to slant different directions, and if you hit that slant right, you either get stopped or you go all the way. Gaston again hands off to Isham. There is a flag on the play as he is looking at the Frederick line. That could be a penalty against Frederick, and once again, Alan, as we've gotten close, the flags come out again. It will be illegal motion against the Frederick Bombers, and we'll back them up 5 as if the game was good for about 3 or 4.
Yeah, Mike, I tell you what, I believe there's been more flags on here tonight.
I believe that's where they set it, Alan, about the 18-yard line. And Sidney Gaston looking over the defense, rolls out to his right under a little pressure, throws down deep for the end zone, and it is broken up at the goal line by the Elk City Elks. Looks like for a minute he might intercept, but the defensive back for the Elk City Elks, number 32, steps right in front of the offensive receiver, that's Matt Bates, and breaks that up for what could have been a touch, or excuse me, have faced some penalties also, but a couple of fourth down plays. That will bring up a 4th and 9, ball resting at the 18. 3 receivers to the right, 1 to the left, long back in the backfield as the ball is thrown over the middle, and it hits a couple of Elk City Elks and will fall incomplete. And the ball will go over to the Elk City Elks, 1st and 10 at the 18.
Tell you what, Mike, Sidney under a lot of pressure seems like tonight when he does back up and try to throw the ball. Our offensive line is going to look like they have to do a little job of
paid off. We'll continue to monitor that and see if they can do that throughout the game. The Elk City Elks have 1st and 10 on their 18-yard line. Motion to the left. There's a handoff to Crawford coming around the left side, and he will struggle as he comes forward around the left and gets knocked out of bounds after a good 2 to 3 yard gain there as he knocked out of bounds by several Bombers. Right, Mike. Crawford gets a sideline. Looks like they're going to push him out of the line of scrimmage, and he just kind of spurts forward and gets some yards. Bring up a 2nd and 8. The ball resting right at the 20-yard line. Motion comes to the left. Schrick takes the handoff. Again goes to Crawford going to the right side, and he will be knocked down after a short gain on the right side by several of the Bombers, and looks like they're going to give him 2 to 3 yards.
I didn't get a lot of numbers. Looks like number 79, that's 79, John Jason.
A 3rd and 5 for the Elk City Elks. Schrick's quarterback for the Elks. Schrick looks over the defense for the Elk City Elks. Motion with the fullback to the left, and he hand off to Crawford as he gets very close to the 25-yard line. That will be short of the first down as he's met by several of the Bombers, and bring up a 4th down and about 4. Short 4, long 4, short 5, and that will...
once again, at this time, when you folks at home get a chance, be sure and thank the sponsors of tonight's show for bringing this ball game to you.
Greg Adams on the punt for the Elk City Elks. Good snap as Adams takes the snap and kicks the ball down to about the 50-yard line, and looks like Bolton there takes a diving catch to field the punt right at the 50-yard line, called across in Elk City territory, and that will be 1st and 10 for the Bombers. 4 left in the 2nd quarter. There is no score as those of you
guys must have stopped to eat and stayed a little longer than normal because the stands have filled up quite a bit since the game started.
Got a pretty good-looking crowd across from us. That would be the Frederick fans. We appreciate them here encouraging the Bombers. Hand off to, I believe that's Isham, again straight up the middle. And as he struggles forward, he kind of sticks that ball out in front. Last week when he did that, one of the players picked it up and they awarded it to the defense. 1 and 8 for the Bombers. Bombers have struggled. It just seems like they haven't clicked, and maybe they can get going this drive as tight end goes to the left. Gaston looking, and don't know if it's too much time. They say it is delay of game, and that will be a 5-yard penalty. And just as we were talking about not making any mistakes, we make a mistake.
Right, Mike.
Instead of a 2nd and 8, it'll be a 2nd and 13 now as Bombers are pushed back in their territory by the penalty. Gaston looking over the defense, getting ready to take the snap, takes a snap, and hands off to Isham, going down to the first down mark, down to the 35-yard line as he rambles over the left side on a slant over the left side, and he just kind of burst through. And again, we were talking about, that would be good enough first down, Alan, but we're talking about that stunt.
They were able to shut him down.
Brings up a 1st and 10, ball resting at the 36. Gaston takes a snap on the option, throws back to Isham, going around the right side, hanging on. The Bomber, the Elk City Elks is hanging on to him, and he fumbles the ball, and I believe the Elk City Elks will recover. And just as the Bombers get some momentum and appear to be have another first down play on that, the ball is stripped from Kevin Isham, and the Elk City Elks will have a ball again, 1st and 10, as they just seem to thought they certainly are. Bring up a 1st and 10, the ball resting at the 25 as Schrick for the Elks is quarterback. Fullback goes in motion. Ball handed to Crawford as he had some running room to the 30, to the 35, to the 40, and finally pushed out of bounds. And they're going to call a penalty for continuing to push the player out of bounds. And I'm going to say right off, Alan, that's a very cheap penalty.
I'll tell you what, a lot of ball games I've seen, that was a very, very cheap call. Kevin Isham comes across, pushes the boy out of bounds, and they're going to throw a flag on him for probably roughing there.
I believe there will be probably unsportsmanlike conduct, but Kevin Isham pushed a young man right at the boundary, and he went on out of bounds, and they immediately threw a flag, and that will be marked from the 49-yard line. As to this point, the Elk City Elks have had every break there is to have in this ball game.
Well, Mike, there's just nothing you can say about that call except home football.
Don't hold back now, Alan. Say exactly what you think there. But I tell you what, folks, you watch the playback tomorrow, and that will be about the 36-yard line as they spot that, and that was a big penalty and a big play for the Elk City Elks. Schrick again hands off to Crawford. He comes back to his left. Crawford very elusive back. As he goes to the right, comes back to the left. Clay Johnson finally is able to get him.
You bet, Mike. I watched the Elk City film earlier some this week, and I wasn't impressed with this number 24.
A lot of moves to get that 3 yards. So Elk City Elks will have it at around the 35-yard line. Again, they hand off to Crawford. He fumbles the ball, and looks like the Bombers did recover, Alan.
I believe they did, Mike. We'll wait and see what the referee says here.
So turnabout is fair play as the Elk City Elks get something going, and they fumble. The Frederick Bombers had gotten down deep in their territory, and then they fumbled. So the Bombers.
Mike, now we'll just have to wait and see. The Bombers, I think they're about due. They shut them down all night long. I think it's about our turn. We'll find out here.
Gaston at the line of scrimmage, looking over the defense, goes back to throw a pass, and it will be incomplete as it hit the hands of, I believe that was Carpenter there, and Carpenter was not able to hang on. Had he been able to hang on to that, that'd probably been good for about a 10-yard play.
All right, good luck.
7 left to go in the first half of this contest. There is no score. Gaston calling some signals, maybe calling an audible there. Hands off to Isham over the left side, and Allen, believe it or not, as he gains 3 or 4 yards, I don't see a flag.
Mike, I'm like you. I'm kind of surprised.
We say that kind of tongue-in-cheek, but the 3rd and 5, the ball resting just across the 40-yard line, call it the 41. Bombers need to get this first down here. Gaston goes back to pass, throws a ball deep downfield, and it will be incomplete at the 20-yard line. And this will bring up a 4th down for the Frederick Bombers, and we'll call that 4th and 5, and they'll have a choice here as to whether or not to punt.
Like he's 4 minutes and 26 seconds to go until half. Bombers, I feel like we can get on the field.
Number 3, Blake Bolton is there. Williams is there for the Bombers to punt. Williams is back for the Elks. And as Bolton gets the kickoff, good kick down to around the 20-yard line, and he will be met there first by 67, Brandon Phillips, who snapped the ball. And then looks like Carpenter was there to help also.
Mike, excellent punt, good coverage. The Elk City boy caught the ball and just absolutely had nowhere.
Ball with consistency, or they've moved the ball and then they've had a big penalty to kill the drive or a fumble. So it'll be first and down, 1st and 10 for the Elks as Schrick gets ready. Hands the ball again off to Crawford as he's been the workhorse. Met there as Crawford still on his feet at the 40-yard line. Will be a first down and a gain of about 21, 22 yards. It looked like he was going to be stopped for no gain, and it looked like everyone stopped.
I'll tell you what, Mike, there was 2 or 3 bombers that I thought would have had him down. Like about the line of scrimmage, he's eluded all 3 of them, comes up and thanks
to not know what they're doing. It. And you don't see that call very much.
I believe are a little slippery, and they come pretty quick tonight.
For you viewers, not viewers, you listeners at home, you viewers tomorrow, what this penalty is, there is a line that is about 2 yards back from the boundary, the outside, out-of-bounds boundary, and that runs from the 30 to the 30, and the team has to stay behind there. They threw the flag, but they did not move the ball. Evidently, that's just a warning. So it'll be a 1st and 10 at the 41 in Elk City territory as Schrick goes back, hands off to Crawford again for the Elks, and he will be mad and stopped this time for looks like at least a yard loss there, Al.
It was, Mike. A good job by number 71, Chad Stone, coming up, getting a hand on him, slowing him down, and helped out by a host of bombers.
Looks like as they unpile, that Cheyenne Clark is also down at the bottom of that. So there's 3-16 and counting. No score in this contest as the Elk City Elks have played very tough at this point to hold the Bombers out, and they've been trying to move on offense. Ball handed off to Crawford again as he struggles forward to the line of scrimmage, and we'll get back to the original line of scrimmage on the first play, and that will bring up about a 3rd down, and let's call it 9. Would put him in the classes. He's not real big, but maybe one of the Cypress boys from Plainview, that type of runners. He slashes and very, very quick, and one of the Bombers has lined up off sides, I believe, in the neutral zone, and as the play is happening right directly in front of us, and one of the Bombers was in the neutral zone, and instead of a 3rd and 9, as we talked about a minute ago, the flag flies again, and it will be a 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4 whenever they and believe me what, he calls it. So now it's 3rd and 4, brings up and there's a lot of movement this time as the Elk City Elks move, the Frederick Bombers move. That's got to be on the Elk City Elks as we have 1, 2, 3, 4 flags flying, and it will be a 5-yard penalty again to Elks, and that penalty will mark it back. It'll be interesting to see if we go back exactly from where we started. It should bring up a 3rd down and 9, and that's exactly where they put it.
You bet, Mike.
On the last 2 plays, you didn't miss anything. It's still 3rd and 9 as the Elk City Elks have the ball around their 42, 43-yard line. This 3rd down play as Bombers trying to hold. Hand off to Crawford again, and Crawford is still struggling forward, and they say he's not down. I can't believe it. But
I want to see the film on that. I cannot believe that. Boy goes to one knee, comes up and keeps running, and
the runner was down after about a 2-yard gain. The referee did not blow the whistle and continued to let the back run, and they have given him a 33-yard run. I am totally shocked, but that's the way they're going to put it down in the books, and I'm sorry we hesitated because we were ready to call the runner down, and all the City Elks, as they're driving now, Strick taking the count for the Elks, hands off to Crawford again over the right side, and he will be met at the line of scrimmage and drop for about a 2-yard loss.
Bet, Mike. Maybe we weren't aware of it. Maybe, it's kind of cow country up here in Elk City. Maybe when you get somebody down, you got to make them haul a calf rope before they can get up.
It appeared that he was down. again, our vantage point is way up here in the stands in the press box, so possibly we didn't see it correctly, but it appeared that he was down as everybody on both teams stopped. But that would bring up a 2nd down and 13 as motion for the Elk City Elks. They hand off to number 3, and that will be Williams, as Williams goes across the left side, and he will gain about 3 yards and bring it back to where it should be, around the 3rd and 10, 3rd and 9 situation.
Good job by the Bomber defense.
We'll take a 30-second timeout. There's 38 seconds left in the half. You're listening to KYB 95.9 Frederick football. Their own territory, and it will bring up a 3rd and 10, and they're at the 20-yard line in Bomber territory, and we'll see if they try to pass in this situation. Rick, the quarterback. Rick goes back to pass, and I believe that, again, there is a flag, and one of the Bombers may have gone across that line. I'm not sure.
Mike, I believe the outside man there may have tried to anticipate the snap, trying to get a jump on the quarterback, and he did, but they're going to call it.
And again, the Elk City Elks draw another penalty, and that will bring up a 3rd and 5 for the 1st down. 20 a minute ago, and that should have been the 25. So at the 20-yard line now, there's 35 seconds left. It brings up a 3rd and 5 situation. Strick for the Elks as the fullback goes in motion. Hand off to Crawford again as he goes over the left side, and he's hit by Bolton and a host of Bombers, and we'll see where they spot this. It looks like he is short of the first down. There's a timeout called with 30 seconds left, and now they let the clock run. The clock is still running, as with 24 seconds, they may come back and add some time here, but it will bring up a 4th down and about 3.
Crawford, times like they hit him on that last play, you'll see him slow down some.
Which I don't understand that, Alan, because that's exactly where it was to start with. So there'll be 20
games, a lot of penalties. We'll just see what the Bombers do here. I think we're in for the second half of good football.
4th and 4, 30 seconds or 24 seconds before half, as Schrick comes back to pass, throws toward the end zone, and that will be intercepted at the, or pardon me, not intercepted, but it's incomplete at the goal line. It looked like for a second that the Frederick might intercept it, but they wisely knocked the ball down because they would have had to start around the 1 or 2, and since that was a 4th down play, they will be starting back at the line of scrimmage, which is going to be about the 18-yard line as it appears at this point. So that was a good, smart play by the defensive back.
Good defensive play there on the Bombers. We have 18 seconds, I believe, left in this second quarter of play. We'll just see what the Bombers can do here in a matter of about 18 seconds.
18 seconds, 1st and 10. The ball on the 18, deep in Bomber territory, as Gaston takes the snap, and he's going to go back and pass. Goes across the middle, and it's good to Ben about the 20-yard line or 25-yard line, and there will be timeout called. He will be short of the 1st down, and that would bring up a 2nd down, and let's call it timeout. We're going to keep it here for these 8 seconds, or if we played well at all. And I'm sure all the coaches are going to agree with us on the side, and they've been aided by a lot of penalties that have hurt them, but there's 8 seconds left in this 1st half, as the Bombers now are ready to put the ball in play. It's 2nd and let's call it 3. Gaston going back to pass. Now he scrambles out of the pocket. He's at the 30. He's at the 35 and goes out of bounds. Looks like probably they're going to say that he stepped out of bounds very close to the 30. Maybe the 35-yard line with 1 second left, as they call it. Again, it's we apologize. It takes a little time to find the yard marker, but we have to look through the Frederick Bomber players over on the sideline and then count off those yards because there are no numbers on the field. Knocked down, we can get up and run again, Alan.
I think that's the way it works up here.
we're being a little facetious, aren't we? But there are 3 receivers to the right. Gaston goes back, pass, under pressure, throws a pass deep down the middle, and it will be incomplete at the 40-yard line, and that will end the first half. As there is no score in this contest, Elk City 0, Frederick 0. Let's take a 2-minute timeout. We're back live getting ready for the kickoff as both teams have come out on the field. The Bombers in their white jerseys, black pants, red helmets, and the Elk City Elks have their traditional brown shirts, white helmets, and brown pants. Nothing here as we're getting ready to a little bit. Don't know if he'll be going back in the ball game or not, has his helmet off, but he's run pretty well this first half.
He has, but one of the latter plays of that first half, Frederick did come up and really light him up. He was limping a little bit when he got up in. I'm sure we'll probably see him back in the ball game again. By the way, folks, for those of you who couldn't travel with us up here tonight, be sure when you see the folks that sponsored this program tonight, be sure and thank them and tell them how much you appreciate bringing this broadcast to you.
The Bombers will be receiving the kickoff, and they will be defending the South Go. The Elk City Elks will be kicking from the north toward the south and left to right as we see it. And
some players in the locker room at halftime, and I just can't help but think you'll come out and see a whole different half this next half.
The Elk City Elks have all their players standing at the middle field. Now they break their huddle. Thought for a minute they might go for onside kick. Number 25, Justin Jones, is the kicker for the Elks as he kicks short to the 20-yard line, and that's going to be returned right up to the 24-yard line for the Bombers, taken by one of the short men for the Bombers. We're still trying to read the number there. If someone happens to be standing in front of the sign, which they are right now, so that we'll call it the 29-yard line. Be 1st and 10 as the second half is just underway, third quarter. Be 1st and 10. Gaston hands off up the middle. There's a fumble on the play as he tried to hand off going over the right side, and we're waiting to see, and they say the Bombers did recover their own fumble, and it looked like for a minute that we're about to start the second half the way the first half ended.
My heart fluttered there for just a moment. All the Elk City players were claiming they had the ball, but thankfully the referee came up. Frederick still retains possession.
Looked like Gaston was trying to pull that ball out, lost it, and then was able to reach down there and get it. Be 2nd and 9 again as the ball's handed off the right end, and he rambles straight forward as he slants over the right side. Good for the first down, and they will spot that at about the 44-yard line, and that will be good enough for a 1st and 10. Bring up a 1st and 10, and the ball is, we'll call that the 42 now as they set that down. Again, very hard to decide what yard marker we're talking about. Be 1st and 10. Hand off to Ryan Ben on the power over the left side, and he will struggle forward across the 45, and that will be good for about 3 or maybe even 4.
Gets the middle of the line then. Elk City did a good job of coming in and putting the stop on for about 2 yards.
like there might have been more. Didn't get a very good spot on that, did we, Alan? As it looked like ball resting right at the 45. Bombers trying to get something going here in the second half with the 0-0 ball game. Gaston hands off straight ahead to Isham. In fact, there's a defensive player still has Gaston around the waist, but Isham is able to go with the left side for an additional 2 to 3 yards, and I'll bring up third down and 5.
The Elk City defense was almost to Sidney before he had a chance to even hand the ball off that time.
Once again, Elk City is gambling, and hopefully the Bombers can break a big play here. Ryan Ben, and there's a fumble on the play again as he hands off to Ryan Ben, and he fumbles the ball as it looked like Gaston was trying to pull the ball back out, and Gaston was able to step forward and jump on the ball, but it will bring up be short of the 1st and 10 as the ball goes across the 50-yard line, resting at the 49, bring up a 4th, and let's call it 2.
Like Lady Luck may be with the Bombers this quarter. So far it is.
2 fumbles. Bombers have recovered both, and again they hand off. We'll see where they spot it. One referee appears that he has it spotted for the first down, but some of these spots have been less than good for the Bombers. It looks like they're going to spot it where it would be good enough for the first down. We hesitate to call because we call that and he may put it down somewhere else.
All right, Mike, it is a first down as they move the poles. Looks like the Bombers may have a little more.
In Elk City territory, 47-yard line, 9:03 left in the third quarter as Bombers have taken the opening kickoff and are now marching. Again, handoff on the slant, and it's going to Isham. He's at the 20, 25, and as the Bombers were able to penetrate that slanting defense, and he was able to ramble all the way from about the 47 down to it's at the 24-yard line, I believe, John. And if you get past that line of scrimmage, you're able to make some big yardage.
Bet, Mike. Good run there. Number 24, who played a good ball game tonight, came up, made the stop on him that time.
That was Crawford on the defense, who's been a weapon on the offense. Gaston again takes the ball on the option, hands off. No, he doesn't. He keeps the ball. Now he's rambling down to around the 10-yard line. And what Sidney has tried to do that caused a couple of fumbles was to pull the ball out, and that's resulted in a couple of fumbles. That time he's able to pull it out, and he goes around the right side. Coach comes out on the field. There's a timeout. We'll take a 30-second timeout. You're listening to KYB 95.9, Frederick. You probably have a better view of this than we do right now with that wide-angle lens. Bombers have it first, and we'll call it at the 9-yard line, 1st and 9, goal to go for the Bombers as they're trying to put some points on this drive. Gaston takes the ball on the option, goes around the left side, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, touchdown. And that's what Mr. Gaston has been trying to do as they've set up that slant over the left and right side. And on the last two times in this drive, Gaston's pulled the ball out. He scores there, and the Bombers have taken this ball all the way on a very impressive drive for a touchdown.
Mike, the Bombers, they're blocking better, doing a better job of executing their plays. They've run the option more effectively since they've come back out at half. Just like we kind of hoped for, I think we're going to see a lot better half Bomber football this second half.
William Martin will be doing the extra points for the Bombers as they are going for one. Jake Carpenter will be holding, and Brandon Phillips will be doing the staffing for the Bombers as they'll be going for one. Snaps good, kicks up, and it appears good. The umpire, the referees say it is good, and the Bombers will go ahead in this timeout. You're listening to KYB 95.9. On their first possession of the second half, and John Mitchell is about to kick off for the Bombers. First time that John's kicked off in varsity action, I believe, this year. Williams down for the Elk City Elks, along with, I believe that's number 23, Brinkley, also deep for the Elk City Elks.
My kickoff teams for the Bombers are Mitchell, Isham, Clark, Morey, Ogwin, Johnson, Rimple, Mitchell, Riggins, Wiley, and Gant.
Fair catch called for that, taken by number 32. That's Matt Bates, 5'10", 151 junior. One of the short men as John Mitchell kicks that ball down to we'll see where they spot it. That will be approximately the 25-yard line, guys, is taking on, and we'll call it the 21-yard line, as the Elks have the football, and hand off again to Mr. Crawford, and he struggles forward close to the line of scrimmage. I believe he'll cross the line of scrimmage and get some positive yardage there, but it'll be good for, let's call it 1.5, and after it's set, we may even call it a 2-yard gain, 2nd and 8.
Right, Mike.
Still the quarterback for the Elk City Elks, and number 5, Greg Adams, and Ernest Crawford, the tailback, who's had a lot of action for the Elk City Elks. Motion to the left as Schrick hands off again to Crawford, and he is hauled down at the line of scrimmage. Good tackling there now by the Bombers today. Appear to have shored that up with Clay Johnson and also Shea Woodall.
Yeah, Shea Woodall did it. I knew he would have a few comments to make in that locker room at halftime.
So the Elk City Elks come up with a 3rd and 8 ball at about the 20-yard line. Hand off again to Crawford, and he is met right at the line of scrimmage, as the referees, as they look at it, don't seem to be moving, and they may end up giving him a half yard, but that will be a 4th down, and we'll still call it 8, as the referee moved about a foot and then he moved back a foot. So looks like that
on defense that time. The Bombers were standing right there in his face when he took the ball.
This would be a great time for a long punt return, Alan, to get back in this ball game. And there's a snap, and it's almost blocked. In fact, I believe it is touched, as the ball is going down to about the 48-yard line, as it was touched by one of the Frederick Bombers on the punt. Just got a hand on it, not enough to block it straight back, but just enough to keep the ball from going full. Whatever you say, Alan, it'll be on the playback live, so if it's not Greg Hilburn, we'll be wrong, but we'll credit Greg with that good effort by the Bombers. Gaston hands off to Ryan Ben, taking it up the middle. He goes down to the 35-yard line, and that will be good for 1st and 10, about 13, 14 yards straight ahead, as the Bombers have come out fired up in the second half.
Yeah, Mike, again, Bombers come out really crisp this second half. Ryan Ben hits the hole with a lot of quickness in, does a good job making the 1st down.
Again, we have to hesitate a little bit because there are no yard markers on the field. We have to look across the way. Ball's resting at the 30. 1st and 10. Gaston handing off again up the middle to Ryan Ben, as it looks like they found a hole over right guard, and they're going after it. He'll have good yardage up as they spot the ball. Looks like a play, as it's 2nd down and 5, and the ball resting about the 25-yard line as Gaston looks over the defense. Hands the ball to Isham. No, he's on the option. He's still got it to the 10, 20, or down to the 15, 10, 5, touchdown. I tell you what, Alan, he pulled the ball out, and he had so much room that I hesitated for a minute. We hesitated because it looked like the Elk City Elks didn't know where the ball was, and then we hesitated to make sure that he still really had the ball. So he was running out there, and then was able to get down from the 25 all the way into the end zone on the option again, quarterback option. There's a snap, kicks up. It just barely is almost blocked, as it barely got past the line of scrimmage, and will be short. Didn't have a chance. Looked like they tried to hurry maybe the snap, and the snap might have been high.
Didn't get the ball up in the air, just like the little getting to the goalpost that time.
We're back alive. The Bombers have taken a 13-point lead as they score within 3 minutes of their first score. 5:10 left in the 3rd quarter. Bombers ahead 13-0. Mitchell about to kick off. Mitchell kicks deep. That will be taken by Williams at about his 10-yard line, back to the 15, and makes a good cut back to and he fumbles the ball around the 20. Looks like Elk City Elks have tried to jump on the ball around the 30-yard line, as Williams looked like he was going to be brought down around the 20-yard line and made a nifty move back inside, and about the 25 he hit the ball, or was hit from the side. The ball went forward.
First out, picked up another 10 yards.
The 1st and 10 for the Elk City Elks at the 30-yard line. Motion to the left. Strick takes the handoff, hands back to Crawford, going around the left side, and he will be stopped right at the line of scrimmage, and they may spot that ahead for a yard gain. But Crawford, who's been a workhorse, handling the ball nearly every time, has taken the 30-yard line of the Elk City Elks, and the Bombers are doing a very fine job on defense. Handoff, as it looked like for a minute there might be motion, one of those type of plays that everything looks like it's going about half speed. Flag's thrown, and we'll try to see what the penalty is, but it looked like one of the Elk City Elks was in motion. The play ends up no gain, and that's what it will be. It will be in the Elk City Elks will be in motion, and the illegal procedure, and I believe it's declined. So evidently the motion happened after the play started, so there was an option resting with the Bombers. Bombers declined so that they can go to third down, and they'll bring up a third down and 8, and the ball will be right at the 30-yard line in Elk City territory. Motion in toward the left again. Again, they hand off to Crawford. Crawford cuts back to the inside. Nifty little move there, back to the outside as he races down the sideline to the 40, to the 30, and goes inside the 30-yard line to about the 28-yard line, and it looked like he did not have that much running room for a while as he cut back in and he went back out.
See what Mikey did a good job turning the ball back to the inside. Got out of he had some good blocking inside the end.
To the Bombers' 28-yard line, big third down play as Bombers had the momentum now, and Elk City's getting back into it a little bit. Strick takes the snap and hands off to Crawford, or excuse me, that's Williams who's come into the game, and he is hit by behind the line, and that will be a loss.
Right, number 70, Clarence, good job, got to the line, block quickly, made it.
And they will say that he was knocked down for looks like he has a cramp over here on the sideline. Ball resting at the, around the 32, will be a 2nd and 12. Strick fakes it, the ball running now to his left, and he'll be pulled down by several of the Bombers, and that will be about a 5-yard loss. We'll wait to see where they spot that to give you the exact location.
See what Mikey credit that loss to number 71, Jack Stone, did an excellent job fighting off the block, got a hand on him, slowed him down a little bit for the other stuff.
4 on the play. Another one of those big third down plays out. Strick takes the ball, receiver to the right. As Strick goes back to pass, under pressure, goes the ball across the middle, and it will be incomplete. Held my breath because it was not pass interference, but there was a little jostling there together, and as it falling incomplete, I was going to make sure we didn't have a penalty called.
Number 7, Jack Strick did a good job just to get the ball on the play.
This would be a good place to run a fake punt, but we'll see what they do as the Elk City Elks are lined up in punt formation. There's the snap. Snap is good. There's the punt. As he's trying to kick it to the end zone, goes to Bolton, coming back to his 10, and will be down around the, looks like the 11-yard line, and we're going to call that the 15 as we look across the field and count it off, and sure enough, it's right around the 15-yard line. Took that ball around the 1 Allen, returned it about 29-yard punt. Returned around 10, 1:15 left in the third quarter, 13-0. As Sidney Gaston brings the ball to the line, looking over defense. Tries to pull the ball out, not able to, as Ryan Dean is able to go ahead and squirt forward for about 8 yards. It looks like that time that Sidney Gaston once again wanted to take the ball out, and Ryan wouldn't let him have it. With that carry, and they'll call it a gain of 7. They'll be 2nd and 3 with the ball resting just across the 20-yard line. Gaston hands the ball off again to Ben. He appears to have the first down across the 20-yard line down to the 20, about the 29-yard line, and as they put that down, that will be good for the 1st and 10. And when you look at the field here and how hard it is to call the play. The 1st and 10 for the Bombers as Gaston tries to, it's a fumble on the play as he was trying to hand off, and it appears that the Elk City Elks will be able to come up with the ball as he attempted to take the handoff to the left side, and he pulled it out, and the ball was knocked out of his hands, and Elk City recovered about the 20.
Nice big break for Elk City.
First quarter's ended. The Bombers have taken a 13-0 lead, but now the Elk City Elks are threatening. Now as down deep in Bomber territory as the Bombers fumbled, and the Elk City Elks are trying to take advantage of that. 1st and 10 on the Bombers 23. Schrick at quarterback as motion goes to left, hands off to Crawford around the left side. He struggles forward after being hit in the backfield by one of the Bombers, and I believe that was Cheyenne. Is that Cheyenne Clark?
Number 33, yes, I believe.
And Crawford has 135 yards against that tough Bomber defense as he has been getting the ball and a lot of attention this evening. Schrick looking over the defense, hands to the fullback. There's a fumble, and I believe the Bombers have it as it's handed off to the fullback around the 20-yard line. He immediately dropped the ball, bad exchange, and the Bombers pounce on it. And did you see who got that, Alan?
Mike, I'm not sure. It might have been number 51, Clay Johnson.
Field position in their territory, not that good a field position, ball about the 20-yard line, but they dodged another bullet on that with that fumble. So it'll be 1st and 10 for the Bombers as Gaston takes the snap, rolling to his left, throws deep, and it will be incomplete right at the 50-yard line as Gaston circled around to his left and threw a deep pass for Hilburn, and just a little bit too far in front. He's playing a cornerback and also getting a lot of mileage on offense. So that will bring up a 2nd down and 10. The ball still resting around the 20 as we spot it. And Gaston having the ball, and he will try the option around the left. This time, the Bombers ignore the first man through and get Gaston for what appears to be a loss or at least no gain. But it will bring up a 3rd down situation. And it's 13-0 Bombers in a game with a lot of mistakes, but Bombers need to do something here and get it out of the territory.
Right, Mike. They take the ball down here and score. They'll bring it up to
On the draw play, as Isham is running all the way, I don't see any flags. He's going to go all the way on a 80-yard run on the, looked like it was a draw play or a trap play, as looked like Gaston was going back to pass, and all of a sudden out of nowhere comes Mr. Isham over the left side, and he was down here before anyone knew where he was.
Came through the middle, almost untouched. I believe Tony Massey could even take that ball and run it through that hole.
And I spared you the 40, 30, 20, as he looked like he was going to go all the way, and that's good for right at 80-yard run, and that may be what it took to get the Bombers in gear here. As Isham, you know, he's been one step from breaking one of those all year long, and he does a good job there. Isham gaining 20 in the last 3 carries, gaining 23, 30, and 80. He has 198 yards. Bombers will go for 2 with 9:56 here after they've scored the touchdown. Back to pass will be Gaston, throwing toward the end zone. It will be incomplete as it was intended for Ryan Ben coming out of the backfield, broken up there by the Elk City Elks. The Bombers will go into with 9:56 left in the 4th quarter, we'll have a 19-0 lead on that long run by Kevin Isham. Let's take a minute timeout. We'll be back. You're listening to KYB 95.9 Frederick Bomber Football. City Elks, as Kevin Isham took the ball on a draw play or trap play. We're not sure what it was, as it happened very quickly. What appeared to be a pass, and Isham came out of the backfield and raced it 80 yards for a touchdown as the Bombers are about to kick. And the back deep for the Elk City Elks will be Williams. Mitchell approaching the ball to kick. At his 40, a low kick as it will come to Williams around the 20-yard line, and he hesitates for just a second, then cuts to the outside, down around the 30-yard line, 35, and that will be around the 38 or the 37-yard line as he's finally forced out of bounds. And Alan, that young man has some good moves.
Mike, you got to give him credit. The Elk City Elks, I don't think.
Crawford Crawford is back in the ball game for the Elk City Elks. Ball resting around the 38-yard line in Elk City territory. Bombers leading 19-0 in the fourth quarter. Hands off this time to the fullback, and that's number 5, Greg Adams, as Adams was the young man that coughed up the ball just a few minutes ago, and they give him a confidence builder to let him carry the ball again. The Bombers with 9-16 would like to shut the Elk City Elks down and run a little bit more offense. Rick up to the line of scrimmage. Motion, there's a fumble on the play, bad exchange, and it looks like the Bombers may have the ball, and indeed they do. Bad exchange by the center and the quarterback, and it looks like Clay Johnson, as he gets up, will have the fumble as he was alertly pounced on that ball, and the Bombers will have it 1st and 10. Another break for the Bombers at the 39-yard line in Elk City territory.
Mike, the Elk City
half by penalties and miscues, and they have come alive after Coach Jones, I imagine, was able to motivate them at halftime. Handoff to Ryan Ben as they're trying to strip the ball, and he keeps his feet moving and is going to ramble down and get close to another first down, as he started at the 39-yard line, and it looked like it was going to be about a 3-yard gain, and he kept his feet moving as they were trying to strip the ball from him,
with 2 or 3 Elks hanging on him all the way.
And looks like that will be around the 27-yard line as we try to count that off across the field. Be a 1st and 10. Handoff to Ryan Ben again as he runs a little crossing play into the middle, and that will be good for about 5 yards straight ahead.
Hole over the right side then. One Elk City player got.
And the clock is running, and they are down. Looks like the ball has been placed right at the about the 18, 17-yard line. Again, as they try to, looks like Isham and Gaston are dancing with each other, Alan, as Gaston tries to pull it. Isham hangs on, and they run together about 5 yards, and it's going to be good for the first down.
Yes, Mike, I tell you what, I don't know what the problem is tonight. Seems like we're having a lot of trouble on exchanges with that option tonight.
Gone for a touchdown, but that's still a good play, Alan. Goes ahead for about 6 yards. Ball resting at the 15-yard line, and it's going to be a 1st and 10 at the 15. Hand off to Ryan Ben, going straight up the middle now as Bombers trying to pound, and he will get, looks like, appears to be about 4 yards as they mark it. They move it back, say, let's call it 3, so it'd be a 2nd and 7, and
continue to march the ball down the field.
Trying to go to their power game now to run some time off the clock. 7:10 left in the fourth quarter. There's motion, and there's a fumble on the play. That was an early, and they're going to say Elk City has it, but Alan, the back can take a step forward, and if he stops, that is not a motion penalty, and I think probably that the umpire is going to say that maybe he didn't have enough time set, but nevertheless, there is a motion penalty, and that will be against the Bombers. That will be declined, and the Elk City Elks will take over. I think, in all fairness to the official, he anticipated that call, but one of the men in the backfield jumped, and you can take that one step forward, and if you're set, it's not a penalty.
That's right, Mike, and that's exactly what he did. He took the one step forward, he stopped, and what I don't understand is why was the hesitation from that point on before the flag was thrown.
Nevertheless, it's Elk City's ball, and that will be at the 15-yard line as they hand off again to Crawford, and Crawford will get back close to the line of scrimmage as he's been the workhorse for the Elk City Elks, and let's give him one to be a 2nd and 9 to around the set for a long enough time. Maybe that's why the flag was thrown. But nevertheless, it will be 2nd and 9. Ball at the 16 as Elk City looks over the defense. Strick falls down, and he will be down at that point. Looked like he might have tripped over maybe one of the guards of the center as he backed out, and there'll be about a yard loss on that play, bringing up a 3rd and 11.
Right, Mike.
He is a young man that has run so much, I'd be surprised if he didn't have some leg cramp. He's put on quite a performance for the Elk City Elks tonight.
Can't take anything away from the young man. He has played an excellent ball game tonight, win or lose.
And they hand off to Williams in the backfield, and He's hit by several bombers. Blake Bolton is there finally to drag him down, and as he helps him to his feet, that will bring up a 4th down play, and let's call it 13, 4th and 13 from
out of 4th and long. I'm sure they'll punt the ball. Maybe this is the opportunity the Bombers can take this ball and put this game away.
Adams back to punt for the Elk City Elks. Back deep will be Bolton, and looks like also Ben. Bolton takes it right at the 50-yard line, comes to the 45, down to the 40, and jumps ahead to the 38-yard line, and there was a fumble on that play, but it appears the referee had already blown that dead, then the Bombers recovered also.
See what's having a hard time hanging on to the ball.
0 as they break the huddle after the 30-second timeout, and it will be 1st and 10 for the Bombers. Ball resting at the 39 as everyone's set to go. Gaston looks over the defense and the offense, one back offense to Isham as he comes around the left side and goes straight forward for about 5-yard gain. Bombers just trying to, nothing fancy, just trying to take the ball and go down the field.
That's right, Mike. I think they're going to try to run this.
For the Bombers, 3 receivers to the right as Gaston throws a screen pass to Ben. To the right, he goes to the 30-25, down to the struggle score at the 25-yard line. The ball is fumbled out of bounds at the, we'll call it the 21, on that quick screen to Ryan Ben out to the right side as the Bombers are ahead 19-0, 3:43 left in the 4th quarter.
Again, Mike, good job of running by Ryan Ben. He put a pretty good move on a couple of Elk City Elks, but once again, the ball pops loose.
And there was a flag on the play. They move it back from the point of the infraction, and will make it 2nd and 6 for the Bombers. Ball will be at the 36-yard line. Gaston comes to his left, passing down to the 5, and it will be incomplete at the 5-yard line as Gaston was going to Carpenter at the 5-yard line, and it falls incomplete with 3:37 left in the 4th quarter.
All pretty well then.
In case of a tiebreaker.
Mike, we've got enough time left. 37 seconds.
The 3rd and 6. Ball at the 36, handed off back to the inside to Ryan Ben. He's at the 20, 25, at the 15, at the 10, 5. Touchdown on the inside reverse to Ryan Ben. And don't see a flag as we look very cautiously before we call it, but that will be a touchdown as the Bombers ran an inside reverse back to Ryan Ben, and he goes all the way around for a 36-yard gain and a touchdown.
Like I said, Mike, we had plenty of time to score. Just didn't realize we had quite as much time.
It just took one play, and that went for 36 yards for Ryan Ben as the Bomber backs now beginning to compile a large amount of yardage. And the Bombers take a 25-0 lead as they will be attempting the extra point, and that will be William Martin on the extra point. The Carpenter holding, snap good, Martin's kick is up, it appears good, and they say no, it went off to the left. So that's why we try to wait and call it, as it looked like that it was going to be good, but drifted off to the left there as the referees were right there. And the Bombers will take the lead 25-0. Let's take a minute timeout. You're listening to KYDE 95.9 in Frederick. In Frederick and the listening area who are listening to our telecast, whenever you can come to the game, then we certainly want you to be able to listen over KYDE. We apologize for the technical mistakes we had early in the program. I guarantee you it wasn't much fun, was it, Alan? We had to scramble there for a while.
Mike, it really was. Of course, this has been a ball game tonight. It seems like a lot of things have gone wrong, so we're going to regroup, and we'll be back next Friday night at Lone Grove, and hope things will be better.
Mitchell approaching the ball. He kicks off, and that will carry all the way to the end zone as Mitchell's able to kick the ball off from his 40, and it travels 60 yards down to the end zone and will be a touchback as able to win it, and that's appears to be what the Bombers will be able to do tonight.
Yeah, Mike, a lot of new players in on defense this series for the Bombers. A lot of the young players in the lineup here. We'll just see what they can do.
Schrick still in the ball game for the Elk City Elks at quarterback, and he's going to hand off to Crawford. Crawford goes around the right side with some running room, and he's going to be taken down at about the 23-24 yard line. Let's call that the 28 yard line or 27 yard line. And Tony Wiley was there to wrestle him down after a gain. And let's give Crawford credit. He's still running hard here with less than 3 minutes, right at 2:54 left to go in the contest. And give him credit. He's still trying to run and get that touchdown. And he goes back across, cuts back to the outside at the 50, down to the 45 yard line in Bomber territory. And as I was saying, Ernest Crawford, number 24, still trying to get that touchdown for the Elk City Elks, and it looked like for a second that he was about to get it. Right. Some substitutions bringing, it appears that they're bringing Woodall back into the ball game, and brings up a 1st and 10 at the 45 for Elk City. Fullback in motion. Ball handed once again. This time it's to Williams, who is at tailback now, and he will be drugged down for a 5-yard loss in the backfield.
Like maybe number 34, I believe that's Jason Marshall, comes in on the other side, on the far side, set him back for a good loss, Mike.
And that will be back, bring up a 2nd and 15. The ball will be on the 49-yard line. There's less than 2 minutes, 1:45 left in the contest. Ball just barely into Bomber territory, given off to the fullback, and that will be Adams, and he will be stopped short or right at the line of scrimmage, and they're going to say he actually lost probably about half a yard or a yard, and that will bring up a 3rd and 16.
What I believe it's a series
to do a lot of the offense single-handedly for the Elks. Williams in the ball game for the Elks at tailback. Strick still at quarterback. Fullback comes in motion. That's Adams. Hands off to Williams, coming back across the left, back to the right, and he will get just back to the line of scrimmage. In the midst of all that running, there were plenty of Bombers in the backfield, and that will bring up a 4th down with 44 seconds and the clock running in this contest, and that will be a 4th clock running. And this will be a 4th down play. If they do not get it, it should be the last play of the ball game, or possibly if the ball goes over, they might have to run one on offense. Ball handed off to Williams, and he's met immediately behind the line of scrimmage for no gain, giving loss of 1, and the ball will go over to the Bombers.
9 seconds left on the clock. The Bombers did an excellent job on defense that time, shut them down, and I believe for all practical purposes, it's not been pretty, but I think we're about ready to go home.
9 seconds left in the contest, and in high school football, it will stop momentarily on the change of possession. Now the clock is running, and that will be the ball game as the Frederick Bombers will win this contest 25-0. And after a very average first half, the Bombers come roaring back to score 25 points and 3rd win in a row, and give the Elk City Elks their 3rd loss in a row.
That's right, Mike. Like I said earlier, it was not a very pretty ball game. Neither team